6 walkthrough. We'll go through each question step by step, so make sure you're following along. Question 1. Okay, so our first question asks us to use a graph to convert 5 kilograms into pounds. We're given a few multiple choice answers. A, 10 pounds. B, 11 pounds. C, 14 pounds. D, 15 pounds. And E, 16 pounds. Now, looking at the graph, if you trace a line up from 5 kilograms, you'll see that it lines up very closely with 11 pounds. It's not 10 pounds because that would be slightly below the mark for 5 kilograms on the graph, and 14 or 15 pounds would be much too high. So the correct answer is B, 11 pounds. Question 2. Moving on. Question 2 asks us to use the same graph to convert 8 pounds into kilograms. Our options are A, 2.5 kilograms, B, 3 kilograms, C, 3.5 kilograms, D, 4 kilograms, and E, 4.5 kilograms. This time, we trace a line across from 8 pounds on the graph. If you follow that line across, you'll notice that it lines up with about 3.5 kilograms. This makes the correct answer C, 3.5 kilograms. Question 3. All right, for question 3, we have a question about sunshine hours. It asks, how many more hours of sunshine were there in Norwich than in Belfast? Our multiple choice answers are A, 2.5 hours, B, 3 hours, C, 3.5 hours, D, 4 hours, and E, 4.5 hours. The problem tells us that Norwich had 6 hours of sunshine and Belfast had 2 hours. To find out how many more hours Norwich had, we do a subtraction. 6 hours minus 2 hours. 6 minus 2 equals 4, so our correct answer is D, 4 hours. Question 4. Question 4 involves a bar chart. A manager surveyed his employees about how they travel to work. The question asks for the total number of employees surveyed based on the data in the chart. Our answer choices are A, 40, B, 35, C, 50, D, 52, and E, 56. To find the total, we simply need to add up all the employees who walk, cycle, take the bus, and drive based on the bar chart data. Doing so will add up to a total of 52. Therefore, the correct answer is D, 52 employees. Question 5. Okay, let's look at question 5. We are told that M is the midpoint of a line segment from A to B. We need to write down the coordinates of M. The multiple choice answers are 3, 3, B, 4, 3, C, 1, 3, D, 3, 1, and E, 5, 3. To find the midpoint of two coordinates, you average the x values and the y values. That's just a fancy way of saying that you add up the x values and divide by 2, and add up the y values and divide by 2. So if A is x1, y1, and B is x2, y2, the midpoint M is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. After carrying out this calculation, you should arrive at 3, 3. Therefore, the correct answer is A, 3, 3. Question 6. Now let's move to question 6. This question asks how many children went sailing in May, June, and July altogether. The multiple choice options are A, 103, B, 104, C, 105, D, 106, and E, 107. To solve this, we just need to add up the number of children who sailed in each of those months. So we add the 15 children who sailed in May, the 42 who sailed in June, and the 50 who sailed in July, and we will arrive at 107, which means the correct answer is E, 107. Question 7. For question 7, we have a triangle drawn with two sides of the same length. The question asks, what is the name of this shape? The multiple choice answers are A, pentagon, B, isosceles, C, hexagon, D, equilateral, and E, none listed. A triangle that has two sides with the same length is specifically called an isosceles triangle, so the correct answer is B, isosceles. Question 8. Question 8 shows us a shape that isn't one of the shapes listed. The multiple choice options are A, pentagon, B, isosceles, C, hexagon, D, equilateral, and E, none listed. Because the shape shown in the question doesn't match any of the named shapes, the correct answer must be E, none listed. Question 9. Question 9 asks, what is a triangle called that has 3 equal sides? The multiple choice answers are A, pentagon, B, isosceles, C. Hexagon, D. Equilateral, and E. None listed. A triangle with all three sides that are exactly the same length is called an equilateral triangle. So the correct answer is D. Equilateral. Question 10. Next, in question 10, we are asked to identify a polygon that has 5 sides. The options are A. Pentagon, B. Isosceles, C. Hexagon, D. Equilateral, and E. None listed. A 5-sided shape is called a pentagon. So the correct answer here is A. Pentagon. Question 11. Question 11 asks us how many pairs of parallel sides does a rhombus have? The multiple choice answers are A1, B2, C3, D4, and E5. A rhombus, similar to a square or a rectangle, always has 2 pairs of parallel sides. So the correct answer is B, 2. Question 12. Question 12 asks, how many pairs of parallel sides does a trapezium have? The multiple choice answers are A1, B2, C3, D4, and E5. A trapezium, by definition, always has exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. So the correct answer here is A, 1. Question 13. Moving on to question 13, we are asked to name the 3D shape shown on the right. The options are A. Cone, B. Sphere, C. Pyramid, D. Prism, and E. Cylinder. The shape shown is a prism because it has 2 identical flat faces and rectangular sides. This is different from a pyramid, which has a single base and triangular faces, making the correct answer D. Prism. Question 14. Question 14 asks how many lines of symmetry a rectangle has. The multiple choice options are A. 1, B. 2, C. 3, D. 4, and E. 5. A rectangle has 2 lines of symmetry, one that runs horizontally through the center and one that runs vertically through the center, making the correct answer B. 2. Question 15. All right, class, our first question is about a rectangle. It asks, a rectangle has a rotational order of what? We have some multiple choice answers. A. 1, B. 2, C. 3, D. 4, and E. 5. Now, the correct answer here is B, which is 2. What does that mean? Well, a rotational order of 2 means that if you rotate a rectangle 180 degrees, it will look exactly the same as before, like it fits perfectly back on itself. And if you rotate it again another 180 degrees, which is 360 degrees in total, that's the full rotation. So it fits onto itself 2 times in 1 full turn, giving it a rotational order of 2. Question 16. Next, we're looking at shapes and ratios. The question says, write down the ratio of squares to circles. And we've got some answer choices. A, 6 to 10, B, 10 to 6, C, 12 to 6, D, 21 to 6, and E, 6 to 12. The correct answer is E, 6 to 12. Remember that with ratios, the order matters. So how did we figure that out? Well, we would count how many squares there are and how many circles there are. In this case, we would observe 6 squares and 12 circles. So the ratio of squares to circles is 6 to 12. Question 17. Okay, now let's try simplifying ratios. The question asks, simplify the ratio 6 to 15. And here are the options. A, 6 to 10, B, 10 to 6, C, 2 to 5, D, 3 to 2, and E, 6 to 12. The correct answer is C, which is 2 to 5. To simplify a ratio, we find the biggest number that can divide into both sides evenly. Both 6 and 15 can be divided by 3, so when we do that, we get 2 to 5. Question 18. Now we have a word problem about baking. Jalen is using a recipe where 2 cups of flour make 8 biscuits. He wants to make 24 biscuits, so how many cups of flour does he need? Our options are A, 2 cups, B, 3 cups, C, 4 cups, D, 5 cups, and E, 6 cups. The correct answer is E, which is 6 cups. If 2 cups make 8 biscuits and we want 24 biscuits, well, that is 3 times the amount. So we need 3 times the amount of flour, therefore 2 times 3 equals 6 cups of flour. Question 19. Okay, let's do another ratio problem. This time we are looking at marbles in a jar. It says, a jar has 51 marbles total. 15 are blue, 13 are red, and the rest are green. What is the ratio of blue to red to green? Here are the multiple choice answers. A, 25 to 13 to 23. B, 15 to 13 to 23, C, 13 to 15 to 23, D, 15 to 13 to 20, and E, 5 to 13 to 23. The correct answer is B, which is 15 to 13 to 23. So how do we find this answer? Well, first we must find the number of green marbles. We know the total amount of marbles is 51, and that 15 are blue and 13 are red. So we subtract 15 and 13 from 51 to find the amount of green marbles. This is 51 minus 15 minus 13, which equals 23. So the ratio is 15 blue to 13 red to 23 green. Question 20. Now we are looking at ratios and fractions of apples. The question states, the ratio of red apples to green apples is 1 to 2. What fraction of the apples are red? Our multiple choice answers are A, 1/2, B, 1/3, C, 1/4, D, 1/5, and E, 2/3. The correct answer is B, which is 1/3. If the ratio is 1 part red to 2 parts green, that means there are a total of 3 parts. Since we have 1 part red out of 3 total, the answer is 1/3. Question 21. Let's move on to pie charts. This question asks, from a pie chart of student travel, what fraction of the students caught the bus if the bus sector is 90 degrees out of 360? Our options are A, 1/2, B, 2/3, C, 3/4, D, 1/4, and E, 2/5. The correct answer is D, 1/4. Remember that a circle has 360 degrees, and 90 degrees is 1/4 of 360 degrees. So the answer is 1/4. Question 22. We're still working with pie charts here, but now we are looking at the walking sector. The question asks, what fraction of the students walked if that sector is 120 degrees out of 360? And here are the options. A, 1/2, B, 1/3, C, 3/4, D, 1/4, and E, 2/5. The correct answer is B, which is 1/3. To figure this out, we divide 120 by 360, and we find that this is 1/3 of 360. Question 23. Now, let's take a look at how many students took the bus. The question asks, how many students caught the bus if there are 36 students in total? Our multiple choice answers are A, 8, B, 9, C, 20, D, 21, and E, 28. The correct answer here is B, which is 9. We know from a previous question that the bus sector was 1/4 of the whole pie chart. We then must find 1/4 of 36, which is 36 divided by 4, so the answer is 9. Question 24. Okay, the next question asks, how many students walked if there are 36 students in total? Our options are A, 8, B, 9, C, 12, D, 21, and E, 28. The correct answer is C, which is 12. In one of our previous questions, we found that the walking section was 1/3 of the total pie chart. So to find the answer, we must find 1/3 of 36, and 1/3 of 36 is 12. Question 25. Now we're moving on to line graphs. Here, Ellie cycled from her home to her friend's house. At what time did Ellie leave home, according to the line graph? Our multiple choice answers are A, 09 o'clock, B, 9:05, C, 9:10, D, 9:20, and E, 9:30. The correct answer is B, 9:05. When you read the graph carefully, you can see that the journey starts at 9:05. Question 26. Let's stick with that line graph about Ellie's bike ride. The question now asks, how long did Ellie stay at her friend's house? Our options are A, 0 minutes, B, 5 minutes, C, 10 minutes, D, 20 minutes, and E, 15 minutes. The correct answer is E, which is 15 minutes. We can see in the graph there is a flat line that indicates the period that Ellie has paused for. If we look at how long that pause is, we find that it lasts 15 minutes. Question 27. Okay, class. This question asks us to convert 200 kilometers into miles using a graph. Remember, a conversion graph helps us see how different units of measurement relate to each other. We need to see where 200 kilometers lines up with the miles on the graph. We have multiple choice answers. They are A, 100 miles, B, 112 miles, C, 115 miles, D, 125 miles, and E, 130 miles. The correct answer is D, which is 125 miles. Now, when we look at the conversion graph, we see that the 200-kilometer mark is closest to 125 miles. So not 100, 112, 120, or 130, it's 125 miles. Question 28. All right, let's look at the next question. It says, we have a solid cuboid, which is a 3D shape that looks like a box. This cuboid is 9 centimeters long, 3 centimeters wide, and 2 centimeters high. We need to find the volume of this shape. Volume is basically how much space a 3D object takes up. Our multiple choice answers are A, 54, B, 112, C, 102, D, 120, and E, 130. The correct answer is A, which is 54. To find the volume, we multiply the length, the width, and the height. So 9 centimeters times 3 centimeters times 2 centimeters equals 54 cubic centimeters. Remember, because we are working with volume, we call it cubic centimeters. Question 29. Now let's use the same cuboid, but this time we need to find its total surface area. Surface area is the total area of all the faces of the 3D shape. Our multiple choice answers are A, 54, B, 112, C, 102, D, 120, and E, 130. The correct answer is C, which is 102. To calculate the surface area, we can use this formula. 2 times the sum of the length times the width, plus the length times the height, plus the width times the height. Using the values we know, the length is 9, the width is 3, and the height is 2. We get 2 times 27 plus 18 plus 6. 27 plus 18 plus 6 is 51. And 2 times 51 equals 102 square centimeters. Remember, we are working with area, so it's square centimeters. Question 30. Moving on, this question is a little tricky. We have a rectangle, inside which we have 4 large circles and 5 small circles, fitting perfectly. We are told the diameter, which is the distance across the center of a large circle, is 17.5 centimeters. The question asks to find the diameter of a small circle. Our multiple choice answers are A9, B12, C13, D14, and E15. The correct answer is D, which is 14. The diameter of the small circles works out to 14 centimeters when you do the math, so that all the circles fit just right. Question 31. Now we're moving on to some geometry, which are the shapes and angles of things. For this quadrilateral, which is just a shape with 4 sides, we need to complete the sentence. Side AB is blank to side AD. We have 5 options. A, obtuse, B, perpendicular, C, acute, D, parallel, and E, reflex. The correct answer is B, which is perpendicular. At the point A, the angle is 90 degrees or a right angle, so that makes side AB perpendicular to side AD. Question 32. Using the same quadrilateral, let's do the next question. We need to complete the sentence. Side DC is blank to side AB. Our options are A, obtuse, B, perpendicular, C, acute, D, parallel, and E, reflex. The correct answer here is D, which is parallel. Sides D, C, and AB are running in the same direction and will never meet, making them parallel. Question 3. All right, now we have a road sign and we need to determine how many lines of symmetry it has. Remember, a line of symmetry is like a mirror line, where if you folded the sign along that line, the 2 halves would match perfectly. Our choices are A, 0, B1, C2, D3, and E4. The correct answer is B, which is 1. This road sign has exactly 1 line of symmetry. Question 34. Let's move on to ratios. Ratios are how we compare different amounts. In this question, we are told that the ratio of red cars to blue cars is 5:3. If we know that there are 40 red cars, how many blue cars are there? Our options are A5, B10, C15, D24, and E30. The correct answer is D, which is 24. Because the ratio of red to blue is 5:3. If red cars are 40, that is 8 times the 5 in the ratio. To find the amount of blue cars, we multiply 3 by 8, which gives us 24. Question 35. Here's another ratio problem. On a farm, the ratio of cows to horses is 9:2. If there are 72 cows, how many horses are there? Our multiple choice options are A5, B10, C16, D24, and E30. The correct answer is C, which is 16. So because 9 corresponds to 72, which is multiplied by 8, To find the amount of horses, we do the same and times the 2 by 8, which gives us 16. Question 36. Okay, this time, Alex and Thomas are sharing sweets. They're sharing 30 sweets in the ratio of 3 to 2. We need to find out how many sweets Thomas gets. Our options are A, 5, B, 10, C, 16, D, 24, and E, 12. The correct answer is E, which is 12. The total parts in the ratio are 3 plus 2, which is 5. Each part is 30, divided by 5, which is 6. Because Thomas gets 2 parts, he gets 2 times 6, which is 12. Question 37. This is another ratio question. At a library, 52 books were checked out on a Saturday, and 24 of them were fiction books. We need to find the ratio of fiction to nonfiction books. Our options are A, 28 to 24, B, 2 to 3, C, 6 to 7, D, 7 to 6, and E, 24:52. The correct answer is D, which is 7 to 6. If we take 52 and minus the 24 fiction books, we are left with 28 nonfiction books. That gives us the ratio of fiction to nonfiction books as 24:28. But because we need to simplify it by dividing both sides by 4, that gives us 7 to 6. Question 38. All right, so we have a piece of carpet, and it's quite long, 240 centimeters in total. Mr. Jones decides to cut this carpet into 3 pieces, but not just any pieces. They have to be in a special ratio, 1 to 2 to 5. That means for every 1 part of the first piece, the second piece will have 2 of those parts, and the third will have 5 parts. To figure out how long the longest piece is, we first need to know how many parts there are in total. So we add the numbers in our ratio, 1 plus 2 plus 5. If you add those together, you get 8 total parts. Now we need to divide the total length of the carpet by the total number of parts, so we do 240 divided by 8. That gives us 30 centimeters per part. Since the longest piece has 5 parts, we multiply 5 by 30, and that equals 150 centimeters. So the longest piece of carpet is 150 centimeters. The answer is E. Question 39. Now let's move on to question 39. Here we have a special shape called a pentagonal-based prism. It's a bit of a mouthful, but let's break it down. Pentagonal means it has a 5-sided shape, and a prism is a 3D shape where you have 2 identical ends connected by flat sides. The question asks us how many faces this prism has. Think of faces as the flat surfaces you can touch. We have 2 pentagonal faces, 1 on each end, and then we have 5 rectangular faces wrapping around the sides connecting the pentagons. If you add those up, 2 plus 5, that's 7 faces in total. So the answer is B. Question 40. Okay, so for question 40, we're still looking at the same pentagonal-based prism. But this time, the question is about the edges. An edge is a line where 2 faces meet. If you look at the diagram, you can count the number of edges. There are 5 edges on each pentagonal face, and 5 edges connecting the pentagonal faces. If you count all of those, you'll find that the pentagonal-based prism has a total of 11 edges. So the answer is C. Moving on to our English section, let's start with question 1. It asks, according to the passage, Brad first learns how to, and gives us options. A, make cappuccinos. B, brew regular coffee. C, take orders. Or D, operate the cash till. The correct answer is B, brew regular coffee. Why? Well, the passage explains that Brad's boss first shows him how to brew regular coffee. This happens before he learns how to make cappuccinos, take orders, or use the cash till. Question 2 says, unlike brewing regular coffee, cappuccinos require Brad to pull shots from an espresso machine, steam milk into warm froth, and insert a filter into the brewer. Now, we need to decide which steps he actually needs for a cappuccino. The options are A, I only, B, I and I only, C, I and I only, or D, I, the, and I. The correct answer here is B, which is I and I only. So for cappuccinos, Brad needs to pull shots from an espresso machine, and he also needs to steam milk into a warm froth. He does not need to insert a filter for cappuccinos like he does when making regular coffee. Remember, cappuccinos are made with espresso and foamed milk, while regular coffee uses a filter and a drip brewer. Question 3 asks, in this passage, Brad is shown how to make regular coffee first, make cappuccinos second, and use the cash till third. We need to choose the option that shows the correct order. Brad learns these skills. A, make cappuccinos first, make regular coffee second and use the cash till third. B. Use the cash till first, make regular coffee second and make cappuccinos third. C. Make cappuccinos first, use the cash till second and make regular coffee third. Or D. Make regular coffee first, make cappuccinos second and use the cash till third. The correct answer is D. This is the exact order in which Brad learns the tasks, according to the passage. First regular coffee, then cappuccinos, and finally, the cash till. Question 4 asks, according to the passage, Brad enjoyed working at the cash till because, and offers these options. A. He got to talk to many different types of customers. B. It required that he quickly learn many new skills. C. The cash register itself had a computer touchscreen. Or D. There was a lot to look forward to on his second day. The answer is A. He got to talk to many different types of customers. The passage specifically mentions that Brad likes speaking with people when they come to order. He enjoys interacting with the customers, not because of the skills or the register itself. And finally, for the passage about Brad, question 5 says, the information presented in this passage would be most useful to which of the following people? The options are A. Sophia, who needs a second job in order to save money for college. B. Ravi, who buys a cappuccino on his way to work every morning. C. Paul, who drives down Bexley Way every day to get to work. Or D. Nathan, who wants to know what it is like to work at a coffee shop. The correct answer is D. The passage explains what tasks someone might learn on the job, like making coffee, using the till, and even making cappuccinos. This information would be most helpful to someone, like Nathan, who is curious about working at a coffee shop, not so much for saving money, or buying coffee, or their commute. Alright, let's continue. Question 6. According to the passage, the treasure that Matt and his aunt hunt for in their game of pirate is usually what? The multiple choice answers are A. An eye patch, B. A green crayon, C. A stuffed animal, or D. Money. The correct answer is D. Money. In the passage, it says they often find a pound coin hidden under a flower pot. A pound coin is money, so that's their treasure. Question 7 says, based on its use in paragraph 1, it can be understood that the word irate most nearly belongs to which of the following word groups? The multiple choice answers are A. Mad, furious, enraged, B. Excited, eager, enthusiastic, C. Fearful, anxious, frightened, or D. Gloomy, heartbroken, miserable. The correct answer is A. Mad, furious, enraged. Remember, irate means very, very angry, and those words go very well together with irate. Question 8 is, according to the narrator, most people's ideas about pirates come from, the multiple choice answers are A. Children's games, B. Movies and television, C. Historical fact, or D. Their own imaginations. The correct answer is B. Movies and television. The text explains that we mainly know pirates from Hollywood, which is where those typical pirate images we have all seen come from. Last question, number 9. The main purpose of paragraph 6 is to. The multiple choice answers are A. Present further details about various ways pirates were likely to injure their eyes, B. Criticize Hollywood for promoting misleading stereotypes about why pirates wore eye patches, C. Explain where Hollywood might have come up with the idea that pirates wore eye patches, or D. Provide background information to explain the real reason pirates wore eye patches. The correct answer is D. Provide background information to explain the real reason pirates wore eye patches. The paragraph explains how pirates used eye patches to keep one eye adjusted to the darkness below deck. This made the transition between the bright light and the dim light quicker and easier for them. Question 10. Based on the passage, which of the following is historically accurate about pirates? So, we're looking for what's true about pirates based on what we read. The answers are A. They wore eye patches, but only as a fashion statement. B. They wore eye patches, but only when they were robbing another ship. C. They wore eye patches, but only when they sustained an eye injury. D. They never actually wore eye patches. The correct answer is B. They wore eye patches, but only when they were robbing another ship. Now the text tells us that pirates used eye patches to get ready for raids, which means taking over other ships. They didn't wear them all the time, just when they were moving from bright areas to dark areas during these attacks. This helped their eyes adjust. Now let's move to question 11. At the end of the passage, the narrator comes to the conclusion that 8-year-olds do not care about historical accuracy. She most likely comes to this conclusion because her nephew. What did the nephew do to make her think this? The options are A. Looks bored as she is explaining the historical facts to him. B. Is so annoyed at her for lecturing him about history that he pokes her in the eye with a sword. C. Pokes her in the eye with a sword and then hands her an eye patch, suggesting that he did not actually listen to what she said. D. Hands her an eye patch because he wants them to pretend that they are going to prepare for a raid above and below decks. The right answer here is C. Pokes her in the eye with a sword and then hands her an eye patch, suggesting that he did not actually listen to what she said. He wasn't paying attention to the real reasons for the eye patch. Instead, he poked her with a toy sword and offered her the patch like it was just a game. This shows he just wanted to play and didn't really care about the history behind it. Let's look at question 12 now, which asks us to find an adverb. Identify the adverb that shows how Matt danced. The sentence is, Matt put on his best shirt before dancing energetically. Our choices are A. On, B. Best, C. Before, D. Energetically. The correct answer is D. Energetically. Remember, adverbs often end in doikly, and they tell us how an action is done. In this sentence, energetically describes the manner of dancing. Last one, question 13. What is the word before in the sentence, Matt always makes sure he eats his lunch before 1 o'clock? The answers are A. Conjunction, B. Verb, C. Preposition, D. Adverb. The correct answer is C. Preposition. Here, before 1 o'clock is telling us when Matt eats lunch. So before is acting like a preposition showing time. Question 14. This question is all about spotting a mistake, but not a math mistake, it's a spelling mistake. It says certain chemicals have been banned because of their damaging effect on the environment. Now, if you look closely at the word environment in the sentence, you might notice something's not quite right. The word environment is not spelled correctly. It's missing a letter. The correct spelling is environment. There should be an N before the O. So the answer here is D, because that's the one that points out the spelling mistake. Question 15. People think that the investigation was independent, but in fact, a lot of manipulation went on. The answer here is E, which means there's no mistake. This sentence is all good. There aren't any spelling errors or words used in the wrong way. Question 16. Knowledge will not be acquired without pain and application. The correct answer is A, which means there is a mistake. The word knowledge is spelled wrong. The correct spelling is knowledge with a D after the N. Make sure you don't forget this letter next time. Question 17. There's also been a noticeable rise in the political temperature. The answer here is B, indicating a mistake. The word noticeable is spelled incorrectly. The correct spelling is noticeable with an E after the C. It's a common mistake because it sounds like it should be spelled without the E, but in written English, it needs that extra E. Question 18. His comments were wholly inappropriate on such a solemn occasion. The correct answer is D, meaning there is a mistake. The word occasion has too many S letters in it. The correct spelling is occasion, with only one S. Now let's move on to our next section about capital letters and punctuation. Capital letters and punctuation section. Question 19. In the distance, there were unicorns furiously galloping towards the beach. The correct answer is A, indicating that there's a mistake. There should be a comma after distance to properly separate the first part of the sentence, which is called an introductory phrase. We need a comma there so that the sentence flows better. Question 20. Henry was happy that Jake's mom had invited him for dinner. The answer is B, meaning that there's a mistake. The phrase Jake's mom is written incorrectly. It should be written as Jake's mom, with an apostrophe before the S. We use an apostrophe to show that the mum belongs to Jake, meaning it shows possession. Question 21. It's very hot today, you'd better put on some sunscreen. The correct answer is B, indicating there is a mistake. There should be a comma after the word today, because there are actually two separate ideas or clauses in this sentence that we need to separate with a comma. So the correct sentence should read, it's very hot today, you'd better put on some sunscreen. Question 22. The bike was new, red, shiny, and fast. It had a light which was bright and clear. The correct answer here is A, which means that there's a mistake. The phrase new red needs a comma between these adjectives because we are describing the bike, so it should read, The bike was new, red, shiny, and fast. This helps make the sentence easier to read and understand. Question 23. Sentence where someone named Pedro is speaking. He says, "How can you do this to me? You are supposed to be my friend." Now, the question is about punctuation. Punctuation helps us read and understand sentences better. If you take a closer look, there are quotation marks around the sentence to show that it's someone talking. Now, the quotation marks are used correctly at the beginning of the sentence, but at the end of the sentence, we have a problem. The quotation mark should not be there, and instead we should have an exclamation mark to show that Pedro is saying it with strong feeling. So the answer is C, because this question is asking us to point out a mistake, and the mistake is the quotation mark at the end of the sentence. Best words section. Okay, so first up we have question number 24. The sentence is, "He blank shopped at Tesco's for 2 years." The options are A, didn't, B, wouldn't have, C, hadn't, D, doesn't, and E, hasn't. The correct answer is C, hadn't. Now, why is that? Well, the sentence is talking about something that did not happen in the past. Hadn't tells us that. It means he had not shopped at Tesco's for 2 years. Next, let's look at number 25. The sentence is, "John blank left early, then he wouldn't have missed the plane." Our options are A, should have, B, should of, C, could of, D, should, and E, might. The correct answer here is A, should have. This means that John should have left early. It's important to know that should have sounds similar, but it's not grammatically correct. It's a common mistake people make, so be careful with that one. All right, question 26. Jamie didn't want any more tea. It was blank sweet for them. The options here are A, 2, B, 2, C, 2, D only, and E, usual. The correct answer is C, 2. 2 means excessively, so the tea was too sweet. Not two or two. They sound the same, but they mean different things, so remember that. Okay, question 27. The sentence is, "The mock exam takes place blank the first Saturday of every month." Our choices are A, within, B, from, C, wherein, D, of, and E, on. The correct answer is E, on. We say things happen on a specific day, like on Monday, or on the first Saturday of the month. Finally, for this section, question 28. I need to find the blank room in the house. The options are A, more quietest, B, more quieter, C, most quietest, D, quietest, and E, quieter. The right answer is D, quietest. Quietest is the way we say that a place is the most quiet. We don't need to say more or most with quietest. That would be wrong.
So now I'm going to be going through the answers to the NVR and spatial reasoning section of this mock. Question 1, first thing, the circle, the inside of the shape goes from being black to white to black. So here it's going to be white, so we can rule out A and D. Next thing, the actual shape rotates 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So in this one it's going to end up looking like that. So we can rule out C. Next thing, these two lines on the inside of the shape, they switch corner each time as you rotate the outside shape. So here they're going to end up being this corner because they switch each time. So the answer is E. Next question, we've got circles with arrows. So the circle with the arrow shape is rotating clockwise each time, as you can see. So here it's going to be pointing up like that. So we can rule out D. Next thing, we've got some lines. So here the line is at the bottom of the arrow, then the line is at the top of the arrow, then we've got no line, then the line is at the bottom of the arrow, so it's going to be at the top here, like that. So we can rule out A and B. Now we've got to decide the black and white. So The black section is, they're switching each time as you rotate clockwise. So in this one, it's going to be on the left side. So the answer is C. Now for this one, question 3, we've got some hexagons. We're going to have a hexagon here like that. And we've got a circle and an arrow. The circle is moving round the hexagon clockwise, and so is the arrow. So the circle is going to be here, the arrow is going to be there. So the answer for this one is C. Question 4, we've got some right-angled lines. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we've got 1, 2, 3. Here we've got 1, 2. So as you can see, they're decreasing each time by 1. So here we're going to have 5. So I'm going to rule out C because I can see that is 4 right-angled lines and all the rest are 5. Now we've got some diagonal lines. So here we've got 1, 2. Here we've got 1, 2, 3. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're increasing by 1 each time. So here we're going to have 1 right-angled line. And they're starting at the top and they're going down that way like that when you add 1 each time. So the answer for this one is A, because that's got 1 diagonal line. B has none. D has 1, but it's starting from the middle when it should be starting from up here. And it's not E because E has 2 diagonal lines. Now onto the odd one out questions. So I can see we've got a circle and we've got a circle here. We've got an X and we've got an X here. We've got a triangle and we've got a triangle here. We've got a rectangle, but we've got a square here. So D is the odd one out. In E we've got an E shape and another E shape. So it's not E. So in this question, this line is pointing away from this arrowhead, pointing in the opposite direction, as you can see by all of these. Whereas in D, they're both pointing the same direction, pointing out the same direction. So D is the odd one out. See in E, pointing out that way, and the arrow is pointing up in that way. So D is the odd one out. Question 7. The shape that's overlapping the circle, we've got a shape that's overlapping the circle and we've got a black shape on the inside in all of them. Here we've got a black circle and a triangle overlapping. Here we've got a black circle and a circle overlapping. Pentagon, that's black, pentagon overlapping. Rectangle black, rectangle overlapping, square overlapping, square black. So A is the odd one out because that has a triangle that's overlapping and a black circle. So they're supposed to be matching, but they're not in A. So A is the odd one out. Question 8. So here we've got a square with a diagonal line and inside a hexagon. So the diagonal line of the square matches up with the corner of the hexagon. Same here. Not the same here because this is, the diagonal line is not matching up with the corner of the hexagon. It's starting from the middle of one side of the hexagon. Whereas in D, again, with the corners and E in the corner, so C is the odd one out. Now onto these questions. We've got some reflection. So this exclamation mark is reflected here. These 2 dots are also reflected. This question mark will also be reflected here like that. So the answer is D. Same here. We've got this. These shapes are reflected here. So this Z shape will also be reflected. And it will end up looking like this. So the answer is B. Not C, because that is like orientated, Z is orientated the same way when it's supposed to be reflected. And not E either because of the same reason. Question 11, as you go round the size increases. So I can already rule out B because that has decreased when it should have increased from this one to this one. Also, the actual shape has rotated 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So in this box, it's going to end up looking like this. So the answer is C. This one, we've got a line of symmetry here. So I'm going to copy the shapes that are in this hexagon because that's opposite this one. So here we've got this triangle here. So we're going to have a triangle here. Here we've got this triangle coming out of these two edges of the hexagon. So I'm going to do the same here. So the answer is C. Now for the similar shapes. So we've got some vertical lines here and some vertical lines here. So the lines inside the shape are going to be vertical, so we can rule out B because they're horizontal, and we can rule out D because they're diagonal. Also, this is a quadrilateral, four-sided shape, and this is a square, also four-sided. So the answer has got to be four-sided. So the answer is E, that is four-sided. Not C, that's a pentagon, and not A because that's a circle. Question 14. So we've got some shapes split up into small shapes, and we've got some that are striped and some that are white. So here we've got 3 striped, 3 white, so equal numbers of striped and white. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 striped, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 white, so equal numbers. So I'm gonna rule out A because unequal numbers of striped and white, and rule out C, same reason. Also, the shapes that are inside are the same shape and they're the same size. As you can see, these triangles are all the same size. So are these shapes, they're all the same size. So the answer has got to be D because these shapes are the same and they're the same size. So the answer is not B because, first of all, these are not all the same shape and they're not the same size. Same reason for E. So the answer is D. Question 15, we've got a triangle and a quadrilateral. A triangle and a quadrilateral. So the answer has got to have one triangle and one quadrilateral. Not A because it's one triangle and a pentagon. Not B because there's 2 triangles. Not C because there's 2 triangles. Not D because there's a hexagon, not a quadrilateral. So the answer is E. 1 triangle and 1 quadrilateral. Now to question 16. We've got a black circle on one end and this sort of tail thing on the other side. So we can rule out B because that's got 2 black circles, but there should only be 1. And then here we've got 2 of these circles as same, and they're a different pattern from the rest. 2 that have a different pattern than the rest. So not A because that's got 1, 2, 3. The answer is C here. Not D because that's got 3 different ones. And not E because that's got 4 different ones. The answer is C. And now onto the codes. So for the code, I like to find 2 letters that are in the same place. So here we've got a P in the middle and a P in the middle, and I like to find what the shapes have in common. So these both have circles on the inside. So the middle letter determines what the shape is. So this is a hexagon, and find the one with the hexagon. This one has a hexagon. The middle letter here is an R. So the middle letter will be an R. So we can rule out these options. Next, because A and C have the same first letter, now let's look at the last letter. So find 2 in common. These both have a J. They both have 1 line in the inside shape. So the last letter determines how many lines on the inside shape. This has many lines, so does this one. the last letter here must be a K. So the answer is A. Next code, question 18. So we've got a P here and a P here. What do they both have in common? The circles are the same size. So the last letter determines the size of the circle. So this circle is the same size as this one. It must be Q, the end here, as the last letter. Now, these both have an L in the middle. What do they both have in common? 1, 2, 3 black shapes. 1, 2, 3 black shapes. This has 1, 2, 3. So this will have an L in the middle. So L then Q. So the answer is D. And this one. These both have a P as the last letter. They are both circles. So the last letter determines what shape it is. So this is a hexagon. This is also a hexagon. The last letter here will be a Q. Now, for the first letter, these are both M's. They both have no shape inside. This has a black circle on the inside, so does this. So it'll be an L. L, Q. The answer is D. Question 20. So these both have a V as the last letter, and they both have an upwards facing arrow. This also has an upwards facing arrow, so that will also have a V as the last letter. So we can rule out A, C, and D. Now, these both have a Q as the second letter. They both have a triangle. So the second letter determines what shape is inside the rectangle. This also has a triangle, so it'll also be a Q. Q, V. The answer has got to be E. Now on to the analogy questions. So we've got, so here we've got 3 black circles. Here we've 1, 2, 3, 4. So they increase by 1. Here we've got 2. So I'm going to assume there's going to be 3 here. So we can rule out A. We can rule out E. Also, this is a pentagon, 5-sided shape. And this is a square, so 5, 2, 4. Here we've got a hexagon, 6. So this shape is going to have 5 sides because it decreases by 1. So the answer is C, because that is a pentagon, 5-sided shape. Now on to question 22. So the inside shape and the outside shape have swapped here. So the circle was the inside, now it's outside. The rectangle was outside, now it's in the inside shape. So here the square is now going to be the outside shape. And this shape will now be on the inside, like that. So we can rule out A because this shape is now rotated when it shouldn't have. B, that's wrong. And D, that's wrong. So now we've got to determine which side the grey and white should be. So here the line is vertical. Now the line is horizontal. Vertical, so it's going to be horizontal. So the answer is C, because we've got the horizontal line here. Now here we've got some pentagons. So here what's changed is that these lines all line up with one corner of the pentagon, but then they now start from the middle of the sides of the pentagon. So here they start from the corners. So in this one, so the shape is going to stay the same, a hexagon. But now the lines are going to come from the middle, like that. So A is wrong because the hexagon has now rotated. B is wrong because they're still coming from the corners when they shouldn't be. So the answer here has got to be we can also rule out D here because that's a pentagon and it should still be a hexagon. Now we've got to look at the arrowheads. So here they're pointing out, here they're pointing in, here they're pointing out. So here they're going to be pointing inwards. So the answer is E. In C, they're pointing outwards. Here they're pointing inwards. Question 24. So the outside shape stays the same. So here we're going to have, and it says the same size as well. Then the inside shape, that increases in size and it rotates 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So this shape, once it's rotated 90 degrees anti-clockwise, it's going to end up looking like that. The answer here is D. Now for the hidden shape questions. So we've got this shape. So here I'm going to say the answer is B, as I can see the shape here quite easily. Question 26, the answer is D, because we've got this thin rectangle joined to a slightly wider and shorter rectangle. So we've got the thin one here and the wider one here. So yeah, the reason why it's not E, even though that looks similar, is because the lines of this one are thicker when they shouldn't have increased in thickness. And it's not A because this rectangle is larger than it should be. Not B because this is smaller than it should be. And it's not C because this is smaller than it should be. Question 27. So we've got a circle, two black rectangles coming out that equal in length. So not A because not equal, not B because they're not equal. So the answer is C here. So we've got the white circle with the black rectangles. Not D because these are not equal, and not E because there's none coming out of this side. 28. The answer. So we've got this white rectangle with a black rectangle coming out of it, of the center of it. Not A because not in the center. So the answer here is B because we've got the rectangle coming out the center. It's not C because this rectangle is now wider than it should be. Not D because this is not as long as it should be. And not E because now this white rectangle is now longer than it should be. So for these combined shapes, question 29, the answer is A, because here we've got this rhombus and we've got the rectangle here. Not B because the rhombus has gone smaller. Not C because this rectangle should be longer. Not D because this is now a square, not a rectangle. And not E because this shouldn't be as wide as it is the rhombus shape. Question 30. The answer here is B, because we've got the square with the circle inside and we've got this cross shape. Not C because we can't see this side of the cross. Not D because we've not got a black circle in the middle. and not E because the square shape is, there's supposed to be two squares that are overlapping each other. It's not A either because this shape is not the same size as this one. This one is smaller. Question 31. So the answer here is B because we've got this circle with the square with the diagonal lines. Not A because the inside bit here is white. Not C because this is a rectangle, not square. Not D because this part is not black. And not E because this is now an oval instead of a circle. Question 32. The answer here is E. The reason for this, we've got the triangle part here with the line through it. And we've got this bottom shape here. Not D because this triangle is now isosceles when it... No, this triangle is slightly thinner than it should be. And it's not C either because this is more of a square instead of a rectangle. Not B because we haven't got this part of it. And it's not A because this triangle is now has a longer side than it should. Now onto the building blocks questions. So we've got to have a rectangle present, so we can rule out B. Sorry. For this one, the answer to me is A because we've got the rectangle here. We've got this shape which looks like an L shape like we've got here, and this shape also looks like this part of the L shape. Question 34. The answer is B because we've got the L shape which is here, which is rotated, and then we've got these two which is this part and this part. Question 35. We've got this T shape. We can already rule out A. And another cuboid behind it, which is here. So the answer here is C, because the cuboid is not the same length as this side of the T shape. So it's not B because these are the same length and they shouldn't be. This is smaller, so the answer is C. And it's not D because this is an L shape. It's not E because, as you can see, this is a cuboid, not two cubes joined together. Otherwise, there'd be a line in the middle here. Question 36. So, we've got these cubes in this other shape. So, to me, this looks like it could be a T shape, and this with the cube in front, and then we've got a rectangle cuboid shape here. So the answer is E. We've got the T shape and the cube that's coming out the front, and then this is going out towards the back. So the answer is E.
Okay, let's move on to some number puzzles. Number relations. Question 1. We have 9, 45, 5, then 12, 144, 12, and finally 9, blank 9. The possible answers are A, 28, B, 0, C, 18, D, 49, and E, 81. The correct answer is E, 81. The pattern here is multiplication. 9 times 5 equals 45. 12 times 12 equals 144. So 9 times 9 is 81. Next, question 2. We have 24, 8, 3, then 3, own 13, and finally 77, blank 7. Our options are A, 84, B, 70, C, 11, D, 490, and E, 777. The right answer here is C, 11. This time the pattern is division. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Therefore, 77 divided by 7 is 11. All right, question 3. 63, 21, 3, then 120, 15, and finally 1, blank 1. The answers are A, 2, B, 0, C, 1, D, 11, and E, 22. The correct answer here is C, 1, 1. Looking at the first part, 63 divided by 3 is 21. 100 divided by 5 is 20. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. Question 4. We have 250, 100, 150, then 3, 10, 140, 170, and lastly 85, blank 40. The answers are A, 45, B, 25, C, 30, D, 11, and E, 22. The answer here is A, 45. This time we're subtracting. 310 minus 170 is 140, so 85 minus 40 is 45. Moving on to question 5. We have 17, 23, 40, then 19, 32, 51, and finally 12, blank 48. The answer choices are A, 24, B, 28, C, 32, D, 36, and E, 36. The correct answer is E, 36. This time we are adding. 17 plus 23 is 40, and 19 plus 32 is 51. So we need a number that adds to 12 to make 48, which is 36. Okay, question 6. 7, 19, 5, then 6, 24, 12, and finally 10, blank 11. The options are A, 21, B, 29, C, 30, D, 31, and E, 33. The answer is D, 31. It's a little trickier this time. We add the outside numbers and then add one of them again. 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 7 is 19. So 10 plus 11 is 21, plus 10 again is 31. Question 7, 437, then 537, 7, and lastly 6, blank 8. The options are A, 48, B, 50, C, 49, D, 47, and E, 52. The answer is B, 50. We're multiplying and adding in this one. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 is 30. So 6 times 8 is 48, plus 2 is 50. Last one, question 8. 9, 18, 4, then 5, 28, and lastly 8, blank 8. The answers are A, 36, B, 32, C, 40, D, 46, and E, 28. The correct answer is B, 32. This one is tricky. First, divide the number on the right by 2, and then multiply the result by the number on the left. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, times 9 is 18. 8 divided by 2 is 4, times 5 is 20. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, times 8 is 32. Let's take a look at question 9. We have a series of numbers, some of which are missing. It looks like this. 2, blank, 3, 10. Then 4, blank, 12, 8, and finally 39, blank, blank, 1. And we need to find the missing numbers, but we will go through it together, and we are given multiple choice answers. Option A is 10, B is 32, C is 38, D is 16, and E is 18. Now, the correct answer here is A, which is 10. But let's not just jump to the answer. Let's see how we got there. The explanation is all about finding a pattern, a rule, that connects these numbers. Here it is. To find the number in the blank space, you take the first number, add it to the last number, and then divide that total by 4. That result will give you the middle number. Let's try it out. For our first group of numbers, 2, blank, 3, 10. We add the first number, which is 2, to the last number, which is 10, and we get 12. Then we divide that by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and that matches what we have in the middle, so that works. Let's try the second set of numbers, which is 4, blank, 12, 8. Add the first, which is 4, to the last, which is 8, and we get 12. Then we divide by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Wait, that isn't what we have in the middle. Oops, it looks like there was a typo in the script. It should be 40 plus 8, not 4 plus 8. So 40 plus 8 is 48. 48 divided by 4 is 12. And that matches what we have in the middle, 12. So that confirms the pattern works. Now let's apply that same pattern to the third set of numbers, 39 blank blank 1. We add the first number, 39, to the last number, which is 1, and get 40. Then divide by 4 and we get 10. So the missing number is 10. Thus, the correct answer is indeed A, 10. Any questions before we move on to question 10? Question 10. Okay, question 10. This one also has a pattern, but a slightly different pattern than question 9. Let's read it out. 108 bracket 110 bracket 8. Next we have 46 bracket 43 bracket 13. And last we have 75 bracket blank bracket 35. And again we have multiple choice answers. A is 60, B is 52, C is 38, D is 50, and E is 48. The correct answer is D, which is 50. Let's figure out why. So here's how the pattern works for question 10. We will need to do a little bit more math this time. To find the number in the brackets, we first subtract the last number from the first number. Then we add 10 to that total. Let's start with our first set, which is 108 bracket 110 bracket 8. If we subtract the last number, which is 8, from the first, which is 108, we get 100. Then we add 10 and get 110. That matches what we have in the bracket. So far, so good. Let's try our second set of numbers. 46 bracket 43 bracket 13. We subtract the last, which is 13, from the first, which is 46, and we get 33. Then we add 10 to that, and we get 43, and that matches the bracket. Perfect. Now let's find our missing number. We have 75 bracket blank bracket 35. Let's follow the same pattern. Subtract the last, 35, from the first, 75, we get 40. Add 10 to that and we get 50. So the missing number is 50. And that means the correct answer is indeed D, 50. These are like secret codes, and we need to figure out the rules to crack them. Question 11. All right, our first code says that child becomes ELOTN. Let's see how that happened. If we look at each letter in CHILD and compare it to the letters in ELOTN, we notice a pattern. C moves forward 2 letters to become E. H moves forward 4 letters to become L. I moves forward 6 letters to become O. L moves forward 8 letters to become T. And D moves forward 10 letters to become N. See how each letter moves more than the last one? Now the question is, what does FMBMB mean using that same pattern but backwards, since we're decoding it? So instead of adding, we're going to subtract. Starting with the letter F, we subtract 2 and we get D. Subtract 4 from M and you get I. Subtract 6 from B and you get V. If we subtract 8 from M again, we get E. And finally, we subtract 10 from B and we get R, which makes the word DINER. So the correct answer is C, which is DINER. Question 12. Okay, for this one, the code for letter is JBRQCO. Now, let's see what the code is doing. From L to J, it's -2. From E to B, it's -3. From T to R, it's -2. E to Q is -3. R to C is -2. And from R to O, it's -3. So we see that the pattern is alternating between subtracting 2 and 3. Now, what is number using this pattern? N minus 2 is L. U minus 3 is R. M minus 2 is X. B minus 3 is K. E minus 2 is X. And R minus 3 is O. So the code is LRXKXO, and the correct answer is C. Question 13. This time, annoyed is coded as BQSVHPQ. Let's see what this pattern is. From A to B is +1. From N to Q is +3. From N to S is +5. From O to V is +7. From Y to H is +9. From E to P is +11. And from D to Q is +13. So we add a different odd number each time. Now the code is FAFTYWR, so we need to go backward from the same pattern. F minus 1 is E, A minus 3 is X, F minus 5 is C, T minus 7 is E, Y minus 9 is P, W minus 11 is L, and finally R minus 13 is E. So this gives us example, and the correct answer is E. Question 14. Now, tables is coded as UDGSND. So let's look at the pattern. From T to U is +1, from A to D is +3, from B to G is +5, from L to S is +7, from E to N is +9, and from S to D is +11. See how the pattern is similar to the last one? It's increasing odd numbers but from 1 instead of -1. Now let's do chairs. C plus 1 is D, H plus 3 is K, A plus 5 is F, I plus 7 is P, R plus 9 is A, and S plus 11 is D. So chairs becomes DKFPAD, which is answer C. Question 15. Here, QUPFT means stand. We need to find the pattern. Let's see. From Q to S is +2, from U to T is +4, from P to A is +6, from F to N is +8, and from T to D is +10. Okay, the pattern is we add even numbers to each letter, starting with 2. Now, what does BWHU mean? B plus 2 is D, W plus 4 is A, H plus 6 is N, and U plus 8 is C, so this is the word dance. The correct answer is D. Question 16. Okay, this time parcel becomes QDSFFO. From P to Q is +1, from A to D is +3, from R to S is +1, from C to F is +3, from E to F is +1, and from L to O is +3. So this time, the pattern alternates between +1 and +3. Now we need to apply it to the word letter. From L to M is +1, E to H is +3, T to U is +1, T to F is +3, E to U is +1, and R to W is +3, which makes the word MHUFUW. So the correct answer is C. Question 17. In this question, learn is coded as NCCPP. Let's take a look at how this works. From L to N, it's +2. From E to C, it's -2. From A to C, it's +2. From R to P, it's -2. From N to P, it's +2. So we see the pattern is alternating between +2 and -2. Now let's decode EJKJD. E to C is -2, J to L is +2, K to I is -2, J to L is +2, and D to B is -2, which makes the word CLIMB. So the answer is D. Question 18. Ending is coded as JTIOSM. Let's see the pattern here. E to J is +5, N to T is +6, D to I is +5, I to O is +6, N to S is +5, and G to M is +6. So here it's alternating between +5 and +6. If we apply that to finish, F to T is +5, I to H is +6, N to E is +5, I to R is +6, S to E is +5, and H to E is +6. This gives us 3. The correct answer is B. Question 19. Okay, shave becomes RFXRZ. Let's see the pattern. S to R is -1, H to F is -2, A to X is -3, V to R is -4, and E to Z is -5. So the pattern is subtracting an increasing number each time. Now we need to find what SFBNZ means. S to T is +1, F to H is +2, B to E is +3, N to R is +4, and Z to E is +5. So this gives us the word there. That means the correct answer is A. Question 20. All right, class, for question 20, we have a code. If the word cheat becomes BJJEO, what would spine become? Take a look at the options. Okay, so the correct answer is A, which is RFRFZ. Here's how we figure that out. We need to apply the same letter changes that turned cheat into BJJEO and apply those changes to the letters in spine. By looking at the patterns, we see that each letter in cheat has been changed to another letter following a specific pattern. When you do this same pattern to the letters in SPine, you get RFRFZ. Does that make sense? Question 21. Moving on to question 21. We see that EL goes to VO. The question is, what does RU go to? Let's check out the options. The correct answer here is D, which is IF. Now let's see how we get that. Each letter in the alphabet is paired with a partner letter. For example, A is paired with Z, B with Y, C with X, and so on. If you follow that pattern, you will see how EL becomes VO, and you can also see that RU matches with IF. Any questions on that? Question 22. Okay, next up is question 22. GR is to TI and CZ is to what? Let's look at the options. The correct answer is A, XA. Let's see why. We see the same pattern as in question 21, so each letter in the first half of the alphabet is matched with its partner in the second half. Following this, CZ is paired with XA. Do y'all see how that works? Question 23. All right, question 23, we have a pair of letters, HHS, and they become SH. PK becomes what? Let's check the options, and we see the correct answer is D, KP. The pattern here is that the letters in the pair are just swapped, but according to the matching system we saw before. So since HS becomes SH when swapped and matched using our pairing system, PK becomes KP following the same rules. Any questions so far? Question 24. Okay, let's look at question 24. HP is to KW. FY is to what? Let's take a look at the answer choices, and we see the correct answer is D, IF. Using the same letter pairing system from before, we find that FY matches with IF following the same transformation. Any questions? Question 25. Now let's move on to question 25. We see the code for Sandy is HZMWB. What is the code for crate? Let's look at the answer options, and we can see that the correct answer is B, XIZGV. Like the first question, cheat, we need to see how the letters in Sandy were changed to HZMWB. If we apply the same letter changing rules to crate, we get XIZGV. Does that make sense? Question 26. All right, question 26. What does the code YILDM mean? Let's look at our options and we see the correct answer is C, brown. Just like question 25, the letters in the code YILDM are a series of letters that are all the result of a letter shifting pattern applied to brown. If we undo the shift, YILDM becomes brown. Any questions? Question 27. Moving on to question 27, we see that chair becomes XSZRI. What does table become? Let's check our options. We can see that the correct answer is E, GZYOV. The same encoding rules that turned chair into XSZRI need to be applied to table. And following those rules, we get GZYOV. Are we all following along? Question 28. Okay, last but not least, question 28. What does the code HGLL0 mean? Let's look at our answer choices, and we see that the correct answer is A, stool. Like the previous coding questions, we know that each letter in HGLL0 has been encoded using a specific pattern. When we undo the pattern, we get the word stool.